think it was our Honda, a 99 that we drive and play Nirvana. It never started right away, it didn't wanna let me get too far from here. I was still too young to realize that these summertime drives, they don't last your whole lifetime. I think it was our Honda, I run another lie to get through the night. Scared as shit, but I know that I'm alright. We were 17, pure like kerosene. You protected me, you were my sunscreen. You protected me, you were my sunscreen. I'm running out of karma, I don't think that I'll make it any longer. But with you by my side, I feel stronger than I've ever been before. Summertime drives, they don't last your whole lifetime. I think it was a Honda, I run another lie to get through the night. Scared as shit, but I know that I'm alright. We were 17, pure like kerosene. You protected me, you were my sunscreen. I run another lie to get through the night. Scared as shit, but I know that I'm alright. We were 17, pure like kerosene. You protected me, you were my sunscreen. You protected me, you were my sunscreen. I'm running out of karma, I don't think that I'll make it any longer. But with you by my side, I feel stronger than I've ever been before.
All right, I am super stoked to get started tonight. It is like 7:33-ish p.m. on a Sunday. Why in the world did I go live on a Sunday? Well, because it's actually Monday somewhere. That's right. It is Monday in Australia. I think it's probably like 9:30, maybe 10:30. It's evening on Sunday, so some people might be actually just chilling and relaxing. And also, just because I was ready to actually kind of go after and mess around with the new setup that I have put into place. But tonight, we are going to talk about getting started with HubSpot Marketing Hub in the right way. Because here's the thing, I have seen so many times that people have actually got started, used the tool, and then we just stumble across things that were never set up at the beginning of their thing. So again, hey, if you're here and this is your first live, because it's our first live, give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. Make sure if you haven't subscribed, you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing more of these lives specific to things around HubSpot. Again, tonight, if you're just coming in, we are going to talk about getting started with the Marketing Hub in the right way. Now, let's go ahead and dive in here. So the first thing that I have noticed over and over and over again is just this thing of people actually not getting their profile set up. So what I mean is, if you go into your HubSpot Hub and you go into the top right-hand navigation, you're going to see that there's usually a blank avatar, meaning they don't even put their picture in there for a software that they're going to probably use each and every day. And in that profile and preference, there's things like connecting your email, connecting your calendar. I can't tell you how many times I get on a meeting to talk about HubSpot Meetings tool, and they're sitting there and they haven't connected their calendar, and they've been using the HubSpot Marketing Hub for months. It doesn't matter if that's a sales tool or not. It literally is a tool at your disposal if you turn on the Marketing Hub. So connecting your calendar, connecting your inbox, these are things that you should immediately have your team do when you're getting set up with the HubSpot Marketing Hub. The other thing is, it doesn't matter if it's Outlook, it doesn't matter if it's Gmail, you definitely want to set up those for each individual user. I would literally use HubSpot projects. I would task out each person, connect inbox, connect calendar, Jimmy, Bobby, Susie, whoever it is, and give them a date where, hey, get your calendar, get your email hooked up in here. The other thing too is the time zone. Especially in the world that we live in, there are a bunch of people working on West Coast, East Coast, different countries, and making sure you go in and set your personal time zone so that the tool understands where the heck you are and when things should happen. But definitely making sure you're setting up your profile. Also, marketing, sales or not, one of the things that you're going to want to do is make sure you download the app. Make sure you download the CRM app so that you can actually, as a marketer, again, because we're talking about the Marketing Hub, you can see those leads that are being generated. You can hook into the conversations tool that you should be paying attention to if you're using a unified inbox and things like that. So let's go ahead and keep moving on. I think you guys get it, the idea here. It's setting up your profiles. By the way, as I go through this and I kind of live stream tonight and we talk about getting set up with the Marketing Hub, if you have questions, make sure you put your questions in the chat pane. I will take little breaks from actually talking about things that I've seen that people haven't set up, or things that you should be making sure if you're setting up, if you're just getting started with HubSpot. But if you ask questions in the chat pane, I will definitely answer them. Also, if you're watching the replay of this, then just go ahead and put them in the little comment section down below. And of course, we'll answer them. Heck, maybe we'll even do a video to answer that question in the future. So we've talked about the profile. Get your avatar in place, get your email connected, get your calendar connected. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Can I just tell you real quick how many people have gone into their portal and they haven't actually set up their signature? You have to go into your profile. Listen, You have to go into your profile and preferences and put in a signature. I don't care if it's a normal one. I don't care if it's an HTML one. I don't care what you do, but you have to put a signature in there, because one of the things that you're going to do with marketing is you're going to want to go ahead and have an email that comes from contact owner, that comes from, the contact owner email, and you're going to want to have a signature inside of those marketing emails. And if you don't have a signature in your profile and preferences, then you're not going to have a signature inside of your actual email. Oh my goodness. Calendar, email, signature, time zone. Get that profile image in place. Get your profile set up the way that it's supposed to be, because you're going to be using that tool for weeks, months, years to come, and you might as well get it in place. Speaking of, by the way, using the email tool, the email marketing tool, the fact that people still, several months after marketing and non-marketing contacts has come into play, the amount of people that don't understand really what that means is crazy. So in the setup process, in the use of your HubSpot portal, make sure that you are leveraging the understanding of marketing and non-marketing contacts. It's funny because I was actually talking to one client that we were helping, and they were just getting started with HubSpot, and I got an email like several times over that is like, look, I set this thing to a marketing qualified lead in lifecycle stages. How come I can't email them? I was like, bro, that's not even what affects marketing contacts. Like, marketing contacts is literally something you have to go in, and you can either set it in contacts or you could set it in a workflow. But bro, it's not marketing qualified leads. However, here's something cool though. You could actually set something up, if you wanted to if this lead becomes a marketing qualified lead, then automatically set it to marketing contact. But getting started, you should definitely think about marketing contact versus non-marketing contacts. Like, understand those. The other thing that has kind of fallen to the wayside on many onboardings is this fact of people ignoring. I'll just straight up say ignoring GDPR. Like, if you do business where it is mandatory for you to pay attention to the things that you should be paying attention to, meaning GDPR and actually like handling people's data in the right way, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Dead serious. Like, you have to go ahead. I know it's in the marketing setup tasks that we help people do with onboarding. You can't just skip it. We can't get to like month 2 and you be like, no, I don't think so. I mean, we'll just ignore it. We'll act like it's not there. Like, no, you can't do that. So definitely make sure you're paying attention to GDPR. There's another thing that people during setup try to ignore, and that's chat. Because they feel like this chat, it's going to be like this humongous like thing and an undertaking, and it can be. Don't get me wrong. It can be. But it doesn't have to be. But again, they ignore the fact that there's chat or bots. Instead of like lining out, okay, when are we going to do this? What's the strategy? What pages should it belong on? Man, actually, as I'm kind of thinking about that, there's a lot of things that people ignore, because they ignore ads too. Like, you should have your Google ads, your Facebook ads, your LinkedIn ads inside of or set up or connected to your HubSpot Hub at setup. So you can at least bring in the data. I don't care if you do the ads. Like, no. I don't care, Jimmy, if you do the ads in HubSpot or not. You can still do them on the ads platform, but I want it connected. I said I want it connected to HubSpot so I can see the data. It's that simple, right? So make sure ads are connected. Make sure you're thinking about how you're going to use chat and bots. Quit ignoring things. By the way, do you like the setup? I'm super curious. Let me know in the chat pane or in the comments. Do you like the setup? Literally have a nice little 3-camera shoot deal here, using a touch portal to actually kind of maneuver this thing around. So like, if I go over to the main camera, I can talk to you here. If I go over to the not main camera over here, or kind of like, the webcam here, I'm having fun with it. If you like the new setup and the way it looks, I'll put it all together so I can help you grow smarter. So Sprocket Talk can help you grow smarter. That's what we're here for. Now, let's just dive into some more of these things that you have to be paying attention to when you're setting up your marketing hub. And number one is you got to add your team. Now, depending on if you're professional or enterprise, is actually going to depend on how you're going to actually set up your team. Got to keep the whistle wet. Want to be able to talk to you guys for a long time. Again, remember, ask any questions in the chat pane as you're watching this. I will answer them. So, you got to add your team. When you add your team, the thing that I don't want you to just bypass and just make everybody super admins is I want you to pay attention to permissions. You've really got to dive into, there's really two places when you get started with HubSpot that you need to dive into. One is permissions, one is notifications. Like the fact that notifications, people just start to ignore them because they like blast the crap out of them at the beginning of their HubSpot journey is totally terrible. But permissions, you've got to make it so you understand permissions. Dive into the sales tab, the marketing tab, the service tab, the CRM tab. Understand what just contacts they own means, just deal they own, how companies they own. Understand what that means, right? Understand each of these. Now, here's what's cool. If you're enterprise, definitely pay attention to roles at the very beginning, because then you can set those permissions based per role. And now when you start to add your teammates, you can literally just be like, this is Bobby, he's sales, here's that role. Here's Jenny, she's social, here's that role. Here's Devin, he's marketing, here's that role. So enterprise and roles makes it easier because you can kind of set those permissions once, twice, a couple times, and then divvy them out amongst your team. But if you are on pro, understand those permissions, set the permissions per user, and understand this too, like, you can have a metric butt ton of people in your CRM as free users. Not everybody has to be a paid seat. That's the other thing that we bump against when people are first getting started is, it's just crazy. George, I can't afford to have that many paid seats. You don't have to. Camilo, thanks. Yes, but the sound goes down when you talk to the side cameras. I will figure that out. I don't know if I need to go like this or if I need to go like this, but somehow I'll figure out why the audio goes down, and I'll get that fixed for next time. So thank you for letting me know in the chat pane. So here's the other thing too, right? When you're adding those team members, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to teams, because there's a lot of things that'll happen downstream that you'll want to be like filter by team or allow access by team or things like that. So again, when you're first setting up HubSpot, pay attention to permissions. If you're enterprise, pay attention to roles. Definitely pay attention to teams if you need them. Now, if you're a small team, you don't need them, don't use them. But you might. Now, Camilo, if I go like this and actually come over to the side of the mic and look this way, I'm super curious if it like actually still stays the normal volume or not. But we'll see. We'll go back to the GoPro. I might just have to start doing some tweaking, but that's all good. It's all good. It actually might be an audio filter too. Maybe I only have it on like one scene or something like that, but we'll figure it out. Now, by the way, if you're sitting here and you're listening to me wax poetic on adding teams and members, using roles, permissions, check out the videos, right? We have created a video on teams and roles. We've created a video on adding a user. We've created a video on creating a super admin user. So definitely just search those, HubSpot Sprocket Talk. Oh, yes. I'm hopefully, oh, yes, is to that. If I go to the side, the audio still sounds good. Anyway, I just got to get it all figured out. Now, next thing that you need to really be focusing on when you're getting started with HubSpot Marketing Hub is just go and set up your account defaults. Now, here's the thing. What's funny is when people hear this and I say account defaults, they're like, yeah, duh. And account defaults is like time zone and like currency and like things like that. However, I can't tell you how many times I've gone in and helped somebody with an onboarding or training, and they said, yep, we set up our account defaults. But we get in to talk about the email marketing tool, and as soon as we start to use the drag and drop editor and we get into a template, like there's no can spam, company address, phone number, zip code. So like when you set up your account defaults, make sure you're going in and actually setting up like the company name, the company address, the company postal code, zip code, whatever y'all call it, the phone number, like have that in place. So again, because going downstream, the email tool is going to want that information. So don't just set up a few of your account defaults, set up all your account defaults. So for instance, if we look at this and we say account defaults, it's literally language, currencies, company branding. Oh my gosh. Have you seen the new My Brand tool inside of HubSpot? So a lot of the colors and branding and stuff used to be like in settings, over here in marketing, and then email, and there was a lot of like logos. And then for a while, it was like split in two places for sales and part for marketing, which got, HubSpot, it got uber confusing. I'm going to be dead serious. Like, come on, HubSpot. Like, a different branding place for sales and a different branding place for marketing? Really? Anyway, I love HubSpot. Don't get me wrong. I love HubSpot. But now there's My Branding Kit. So make sure you're setting up your branding. If you're going to use two-factor authentication, make sure you're setting that up. Gdpr. Woof. We should talk about connected apps. We'll get there. So set up your account defaults. I talked about GDPR. The day that you buy HubSpot, the day that you buy HubSpot, please, by all that is holy, install the tracking code. Get the tracking code on your website. And I swear to my goodness, if I hear one more person say, well, we're building a new website and we'll put it on when the new website goes live. No, put it on. I'm sorry. I'm being a little crazy. Put it on now. You want to get that data. You want to get those analytics. So the day that you purchase HubSpot, get that information in place. What's up, Max Cohen? I'm just sitting here waxing poetic on all things HubSpot, my man. And so here's the thing. We talked about installing the tracking code the day that you purchase it so you can get data. Don't wait on that website. Here's the other thing that's really confusing now. Now, let me be honest with you. Before, and I even hate to say the word because I hate the word. It divides men, women, and children. Vikings probably like pillage because of this word. I'm just kidding, but I hate this word, COVID, right? So pre-COVID, this setup task was not as confusing as it is now. But now, my gosh, when you tell somebody to filter out IP addresses now, and they all work from home, you got to get specific. Like specificity wins the day when it comes to telling people to actually filter out internal. You better talk about static IPs and dynamic IPs if you're having this conversation right now in today's times. Because it just does. If the IP address is going to change, it doesn't make any sense to actually have them filter it out. You're just going to have a minute amount of dirty data. It's just that. But if they have a static IP, if they still have an office or a range of IP addresses, then block that junk. Graham Taylor taking notes intently. Thank you. And let's Max, Graham, Camilo, whoever, if you're out there, if you have questions, put questions in the chat pane. I will pause on talking about how to get the Marketing Hub set up correctly to do some questions, because it's all about you guys anyway. So filter out IP addresses. By the way, I have a video. You can search on HubSpot Sprocket Talk how to filter out the IP address if you have a range or static IP. Okay, that's a little over the top there. But hey, it's Sunday at 8 o'clock. I can kind of do what I want to do to try to make it a little bit fun. So the next thing, here's what's fun. Next thing you should definitely be doing when you set up the HubSpot Marketing Hub is, get those socials in there. Like, get those social accounts in there. Your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Twitter, and by all that is holy, a couple things. If you get your Twitter account hooked into HubSpot, learn what streams are. Learn what streams are so that you can start to listen to either all of Twitter for certain keyword phrases or questions that they might ask around your business. Like, for instance, let's say you sell water, but it's a certain type of water. Like, you sell caffeinated water. And all of a sudden, you can listen to all of Twitter for somebody who says, what's a great caffeinated water brand? That would be valuable to your business if you sold caffeinated water. And what's nice is you wouldn't jump in there like, straight up for the jugular. You'd be like, hey, we happen to have some content, some information, a brochure, an article, a video, a podcast, depending on how much of a content ninja you are, on our caffeinated water. Check it out if it's a good fit for you. Hey, we might even send you some samples, by the way. By the way, if you're watching this and you sell caffeinated water and you want to send me some, never mind. But I do like me some caffeinated water and free samples. Just saying, who doesn't? But get those socials connected. Get those socials connected. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Here's the thing that everybody forgets, though. Go in to the social settings. Look at the social settings, and there's a calendar in your social settings. It is fake. It is default. It is the time for everybody who has gotten the HubSpot social tools. You need to go into your Facebook, to your LinkedIn, to your Twitter, to your Instagram, and look at the appropriate times to publish. Meaning, when is your audience on the freaking channels? Make the times in your social calendar those times. Like, to match those times. And by the way, if you're playing the YouTube game, go and look into YouTube of when the best time to publish is, because the best time to publish it and promote it, and your times will be aligned to the time that you should promote it of your YouTube video. The other thing while you're in settings is look for the stinking Chrome social extension. I can't tell you. I've had HubSpot employees tell me, wow, I didn't even know this was I didn't know this was a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. And you don't have to go into HubSpot to actually post your social medias. You can literally go to your page, your blog, or if you have other resources that aren't direct competitors, you can go to their pages, and it allows you to like scrape some coffee. Nope, don't need no coffee. Got enough caffeine for tonight. Woo! Lets you scrape some copy off the page to start your LinkedIn post, your Facebook post. Anyway, listen, you know what I'm going to say. I've done a video. It's Rocket Talk videos. Woo! It's in there. The Chrome social extension. Look it up. It is a game changer. And talk about being able to use that and assign your social posts to a campaign. That's super powerful. Graham, Max, Camilo, that is super powerful. If your team, if your social person is not using the Chrome extension, have them do it. Have them do it. But get those socials in there. I already talked about ads. People want to ignore ads. Get your ads connected to HubSpot. I don't care if you do it in HubSpot. Just connect it to HubSpot. You want the data. One of these days, you're going to come to us, somebody, somewhere. You're going to hit HubSpot support. You're going to say, hey, it'd be great if in workflows, I could actually add somebody who was super dope, made it through my workflow flow to an ads audience list. Yeah, you can. But if you ain't got ads connected to your HubSpot, then why the heck are you even really worried about adding to a static list for like a lookalike audience when you could like spin it up right in HubSpot with the ads tool? Anyway, You're awesome, by the way. Has anybody told you that? You are awesome. Whoever you are, you're watching this, you are awesome. If you have questions, make sure you hit it up in the chat pane. Loving this. Okay, next thing is get your content, your contacts, your deals, your company. Get your stuff in there, right? Now, content, it's like landing pages, forms, stuff like that. Like literally, if you're using something else other than the HubSpot Forms tool, go map those forms into HubSpot, because there are 4 major superpowers that HubSpot Forms gives you that most forms don't. When you're talking about third-party like Gravity Forms or Ninja Forms or Elementor Forms, like there are some superpowers. By the way, if you're into like superpowers of the forms, or you're like, hey George, what are the superpowers? Man, go find a link on our videos. I'll put it in this video when it's over for our Friday FAQs. Hop on with us for 30 minutes and just ask the question, George, what's the 4 superpowers of HubSpot Forms? That'll be a dope session for 30 minutes. I'll tell you that right now. But make sure you get the forms, the landing pages, but then make sure that you are actually getting your contacts imported. And speaking of that, when you go to import your contacts, the number one question I get when I'm onboarding folks, I wish it was set by default. I swear to all that is holy, I wish it was set by default. I'm not sure why it isn't. I'm sure there are smart people at HubSpot that will tell me why. But go into settings, go into objects, go into companies, and auto-associate companies to contacts who have emails with business emails. Because I'll tell you how many emails I get. It's in the hundreds of. It doesn't seem like these companies are auto-associating. Do I have to physically go and do each one of these? No. And the faces of the people, when I say flip that switch and we go back to companies and all of a sudden they're there, it's like I showed them Jesus or baby Jesus or something, and it was just one switch, right? So make sure that. Ooh, good question. Camilo, when do you decide to create a deal? When there is a SQL? Potentially. Sales qualified lead, maybe. But here's the thing, it can be a sales qualified lead. That just means that sales actually needs to start to have a conversation to see if they truly are a true fit. They're not necessarily an opportunity at that point, because they could get sent back to a marketing qualified lead or an MQL. So I don't necessarily create a deal when it's just an SQL, but I do create a deal as soon as I know that we're going to talk about money, right? And so if it's a sales qualified lead and I know, hey, they've asked for a quote, boop, deal created. They've done a demo, maybe deal created, because we're about to talk about money. This is going to be different for each company, but I really hate to tie it to SQL. I really like to tie it to a mental thing of, are you talking about money? Have they asked for a price? Do you feel there's 75% chance that you're going to send a quote in the next 7 to 14 days? By the way, before I get hate mail, if you have a longer life cycle or sales cycle, Bobby, disregard what I just said, because it could be 6 months. It could be a year. Susie, I get it. Every business is different. So, but my point is, when it comes down to money or soon talking about money, that's when I create a deal. Because one thing that some people, by the way, don't know about HubSpot, as soon as you create a deal, it automatically changes the life cycle stage to opportunity. So no matter if they're a marketing qualified lead, a subscriber, and all of a sudden somebody said, hey, we want to talk about price, boom, opportunity in HubSpot. It just happens automatically. 4 form superpowers, briefly. Yes, Graham, I can talk about that, but let me get past some stuff here. So get your contacts in. So Graham, hold on, I'm going to get there. 4 superpowers of HubSpot Forms. So we talked about manage your contacts, right? Marketing contacts, non-marketing contacts. People want to ignore it. Listen, I created a video. Dive in, figure it out. Understand when you want them to automatically turn in, when not, what forms should, what forms shouldn't. Like, you should have a whole strategy. Like, the smart people at HubSpot put listen, they put this in place for a reason. You can have like a gazillion. Okay, it's not a gazillion. It's like 1 million contacts in your CRM. Actually, it might be 5 million. It's 1 million or 5 million. I looked it up. I can't remember. Sorry. But you can have a lot of people. You don't want to market to all those. They're not all ready. Like, they might take some human interaction, and then you're like, oh yeah, like they're warmed up, and actually they now want to be a marketing contact because we got them to the right place. But like, you might be doing some like account-based marketing or target marketing, and like, you don't want them to get a marketing email yet, but you definitely want like Raul to touch base with them 3 times and make 2 phone calls. Like, come on, like, think about this. Think about a strategy for that. Anyway, people want to ignore that. Marketing email setup tasks. OMG. Get your email sending domain in place, please, because I literally have had multiple people that we've onboarded. I'll subscribe to their stuff because I want to know if they're doing a good job or not. And I'll get an email from them, and it'll literally be like b7.v@hubspot.com. I just screenshot that junk, and I'll be like, yo, remember like 3 months ago when I said get your email sending domain in place, because otherwise it'll look like your emails are coming from HubSpot and not from your domain. And also, it won't be your domain authority that you're like leveraging. So then you're wondering like why you get into like the spam or the junk. Yeah. Get your email sending domain in place, people. I'm just telling you. And then here's the thing. Make sure that you put in your opt-out emails first, because they don't count as your contacts. You don't want to accidentally email them. So get the opt-outs in first. Get your contacts in. Get the email sending domain in place. Make sure your subscription types are actually set up and in place. Then your email tool. You're ready to rock and roll. Rock and roll, baby. Woo! Like, email is powerful. Oh, that's right. I know. Terrence told you the email's dead, but I'm here to tell you it's not. It's not dead. So get it set up right. Hosted pages. I'm going to pause here. Because Graham, I don't know how long you can hang out with me, but I'm going to get back to hosted pages. If you're here right now to learn about setting up the HubSpot Marketing Hub right, then stick around for one hot second, because I'm going to get back to it. By the way, like this video if you're getting value out of it. Hit the subscribe button. Shoot. Share it out to people if you think it's something they might want to watch, because I'm trying to talk about HubSpot and not be boring, because you can get that anywhere. I mean anywhere. But Graham, here's the deal. I'm going to dive in here for a second. 4 superpowers of HubSpot forms. Number 1, queued fields, because marketing has a problem. No matter if it's 1 form, 3 forms, or 5 forms, we usually know the same pieces of information. First name, last name, email, job title, company. And that's all we know after 5 form fields. However, if you use queued fields, you could say, hey, sales, marketing, service, and leadership. What's the 7 to 14? Arbitrary number, by the way, could be 10 to 20. What's the 10 to 20 pieces of information that if we got it over 1, 3, 5, 7 form fills would help address the sales or accelerate the sales process? 5 to 7, 7 to 10, 10 to 20, I don't care. Have that conversation. And then put those in your queued fields on every one of your forms. So now when they fill out 1, 3, or 5 forms, you now have 10, 20 pieces of information instead of the same 5. Okay, that's a superpower HubSpot Forms allows you to do. By the way, if anybody from HubSpot is paying attention, one thing that would be nice would be to have global queued fields. Global queued fields for forms. Because if I'm teaching people to put this on 5, 7, 20, 30 forms, and I really do want it to be the same 5 to 7, 10 to 20, whatever, it'd be great if I could do a check mark and say, use my global queued fields, and then just use them across like my form. Anyway, that's a wish list item. I haven't even put that on ideas.hubspot.com yet, but it's a dream. Maybe one of these days there'll be a check mark. Use my global queued fields across these 7 forms that I want to use. Anyway, superpower number 2, Graham, just for you. Progressive profiling or dependent fields, right? And this comes down to optimization. This comes down to the fact of like, okay, I don't want to show country, state, city, zip, postal code, because psychologically, those 5 fields are not worth like my firstborn child, my right arm and my leg to be able to convert on like this demo or this ebook or this guide or this checklist, but the information is valuable to the sales process. Yes, multi-step forms, please. Camila, you should hit up Impulse Creative. We've actually figured out a way to hack together multi-step forms, and it's super dope. Multiple people, multiple forms, filling them out at different times, saving progress. What? Anyway, dependent fields. I'm telling you right now, you can do some ninja stuff with dependent fields. So now it's like only show state and city and postal code if they actually say United States in country, right? Just because maybe we're just saying it's a United States company, but maybe it's Australia. Well, if it's Australia, then ask these other questions. And what I want you to realize is with dependent fields, you can literally do something. I'll just use a persona example. If it was, how would you best describe yourself? And one was like, I'm a marketer for a mid-sized company. One's I'm a sales rep for, an enterprise company. And one's I'm a CEO/owner of whatever. I can ask second smart questions dependent upon if they're a marketer, sales, or CEO or owner, right? So talk about context of the conversation and asking the right second smart questions based on who they actually are. Yeah, dependent fields. That's a superpower. So queued fields, dependent fields. The other one is hidden fields. Hidden fields. Simple one for this is like, I know this form when filled should make for an SQL. I know when this form filled should make for a lead. I know when this form filled should be a customer because only customers use this form. So go ahead and automatically set the life cycle stage, because why? Do we feel like we have to always do a workflow to automate the lifecycle stage based on a form submit that goes into a list and then a workflow when we could actually just do it right in the form with a hidden field? I'm just saying, we could do it like, just because you can automate doesn't mean you should automate. Like there are things in there that you can just put into place. Now, there are times where like you might want to automate something based on an answer inside the form, and then that gets a little dip, whatever. But for the most part, most people, their forms are like pretty linear on like it's supposed to achieve this thing in this top, middle, bottom of the funnel. Therefore, equaling this thing on the sales side of things. All right, queued fields. By the way, some ninja stuff with that whole hidden fields. Hit me up if you're curious about what in the world you could do with UTM parameters and hidden fields in HubSpot from a reporting standpoint. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I'm just saying. Yeah, you can hit me. Camila says, I do it. Yes. I need a soundboard. And you're like, yeah. It's coming. I'm telling you, we're just getting started, people. This is the first Sprocket Talk live. Things are coming. I could probably actually like open up a soundboard and do some stuff. But you know what? Let's keep educating. So I said there were 4 superpowers, right? The 4th one, you'll have to stay tuned. We'll talk about that at a later date. Let's get back to why we're here. Graham's like, no. Okay, I'll tell you now. The fact that you don't actually have to create a workflow based on a form submission, if you are trying to do like a down and dirty plain text 1, 2, 3 email follow-up, it's right in the forms tool. Superpower number 4. However, that being said, there are many times I don't do that because I'd rather do a form submit to a list to a workflow trigger, and actually have very designed logo, whatever for my marketing emails. However, if one stops and thinks, in the forms tool, you have 1, 2, 3 email follow-up. You have the opportunity to not make them a marketing contact. I haven't tested it, but can you send 1, 2, 3 plain Jane emails to non-marketing contacts if you keep it in the forms tool? Things that make you go, Somebody test that junk. I just thought of that as I was like right here. Why would I actually use that? And how would it actually play with marketing or non-marketing context? Somebody test that. Can you send out 1, 2, 3 emails as a follow-up and not have to set that as a marketing contact? Because then that would be super dope. It's always super dope, but it would really, really, really be super dope. Yes. Do prefer a super workflow or a lot of works. Okay. Camilo asks, do you like a super workflow? Super workflow. Or do you like a lot of workflows? I'll get back to that. Camilo, hold. Okay. So we talked about we're talking about hosted pages, setting up Marketing Hub. By the way, if you're just getting in here, if you have questions, put questions in the chat pane because I'm answering them along the way as we talk about getting started with the HubSpot Marketing Hub. So, hosted pages. This might be the most confusing thing that people actually run into when they get started with HubSpot, because I don't know why. I don't know why, but you need to set up 2, maybe 3 subdomains. Now, I get it. If you're going to blog on WordPress or Joomla or some third-party website that you have, you probably don't need to set up blog. You probably don't need it, okay? Which is fine. But you're at least going to want to set up a subdomain for your email tool, and you're going to want to set up a subdomain for your landing page tool. Because at the end of the day, you're going to want to be able to have an umbrella, info. Education. Academy. Resources. An umbrella for those ebooks, guides, checklists, simple surveys, the campaign stuff that you're supposed to be doing in HubSpot. You're going to want the landing page tool. Plain and simple. You're going to want to have that in place. So figure out what you want to call it. Umbrella, subdomain, get it in place. Because you don't want that raw, nasty, like HubSpot URL that's like not even supposed to be used. It's super ugly. Like, you don't want that. You don't want that. I'm just saying. Email. God forbid somebody's using Lotus 7.9 or Lotus 8 or some other wacky, crazy email service provider and they can't read your junk. So if you want to have a web version, you need to have email. Now, please do not confuse that an email subdomain is not an email sending domain. You have to do both of these, or should do both of these, especially if the email subdomain you want to do something that is actually like a newsletter that they can get back to monthly because there's a web version of it. Well, then you're going to want email. And then, of course, if you're going to do the blog, you want blog. When you're setting up. Now, I don't care if you blog on HubSpot or not. I sort of do, because there's some things, again, I've said multiple times, downstream, right? Downstream, if you blog on HubSpot, it's easier, or I should say possible. Because it's not possible. You can associate the blog articles to a campaign if you're blogging on HubSpot. You can report on them a lot better. You can and here's the thing, it can look like it's part of your website. So just don't get hung up on that. You can design it however you want to design it. You can have authors, comments, not have comments, do listing template, post template, all the things that you could do on any other tool you can do in HubSpot with the blog. And then it's just as simple as putting a navigational item on your main website that has blog, that goes to the HubSpot blog, and then making sure that your blog's designed in a way that the global header looks like your website. That's it. And footer, if you really want to get the footer to look like it too. It's not that difficult. But Get those subdomains in place. Please, by all that's holy. And if you're using enterprise, make sure you're paying attention to your brand domains, because that's a whole nother cup of tea that you should my best friend is Google. Let me see what brand domains in HubSpot is and all the things that now impacts downstream. And again, here's maybe the hashtag one thing of this whole live of getting started with the HubSpot Marketing Hub. Is educate yourself on the tool that you just purchased. Somebody should clip that out. That should be like a YouTube short. Educate yourself on the tool that you just purchased. Whether it be in a project sidebar, whether it be in a knowledge article, whether it be in the academy, whether it be on Sprocket Talk, take time to educate yourself on how the tool, the pieces work together. Okay. I'll get off my soapbox. I talked about live chat. Make sure you customize your subscription and error pages. By the way, back to the email tool for a second. In the email tool, when you first start to use the drag and drop editor and you've got that footer in there, they've got manage preferences and unsubscribe. This is the one place that I battle with being a marketer versus being human. I got to be honest with you. I am about to lose my mind. Listen, as a marketer, I don't want them to unsubscribe in my email. But as a human, I love to unsubscribe right in the email. However, when I teach this, right, you got to have a dope subscription and error pages, because if they're going to unsubscribe, make sure they could unsubscribe from an individual thing and still get other things, not just unsubscribe from everything. And instead of letting them unsubscribe in the email, go up to that module, and instead of both, just say manage preferences, which makes them kind of jump through the hoop of that, right? Anyway, just saying. Just saying. Something to think about. And here's the thing. Review all of your applicable integrations. Seriously, there's a marketplace app area for a reason. Okay? If you particularly are using Lucky Orange, Zoom Webinar, Gmail, Outlook, there's so many. Oh my gosh, hang on a second. Let me do this. Let me do this for a second. All right, I'm going to go to the app marketplace. And yeah, I'm going to get crazy with this, right? So I'm going to go right here. Hang on. There are so many. Hang on a second. Let me do this. Okay. All right. Now, there are so many apps that you can go and look at, like Google Sheets and Google Contacts and MailChimp. I already mentioned Lucky Orange. Databox. Wistia. Woo! Wistia! My favorite. One of my favorites, because Vidyard's right there, and I would feel really bad. But Wistia is by far my favorite video application. I'm just going to throw that out there. And if you're watching this, shout out to Wistia and let them know, yo, George B. Thomas dropped the hammer for your video hosting and tools. But I mean, you can see all Deposit Fix. By the way, if you're looking to make money, I'll give you a for instance. You purchased the HubLMS.io LMS, Learning Management System, and you want somebody to be able to pay for it and then use a HubSpot form and not have to use a Stripe integration and then be able to go into the Learning Management System, literally like a landing page with a HubSpot form converted with Deposit Fix, takes the money, transfer them to this LMS, just sold your course because of an integration with HubSpot. Anyway, you can see over here on the left-hand side, like popular apps, new apps, free apps built by HubSpot. You should check all of those out. Woo, woo, woo. All right, enough playing around. Let's go back to this. Camilo, you actually had a question. So there is one other thing that I want to talk about on getting started with HubSpot Marketing Hub. But I want to go back to Camilo's question. He says, "Do you prefer?" And I gotta get a way that I can actually put I gotta get a way that I can put the chat like questions on the page. By the way, I'm using OBS. If anybody knows an easy way to take a YouTube comment question and put it into my OBS, like maybe it's like a browser source or something. I don't know. But I gotta add that in because you guys could be like, there's nobody even on this thing. But if I literally could show Camilo's face, sexy man he is, I'm just gonna throw that out there. If I could show Camilo's face in the question, I would. But he says, do you prefer super workflows or a lot of workflows? Here's the thing that I found out about super workflows is that for most people, what you might call super workflow gets really confusing. And when I hear the word super workflow, Camilo, what I hear is if-then branches that go into other if-then branches that have next step pieces into it. And it's got like, it's like this massive super thing. You got to export that bad boy out or use like mini workflows mapped even, and it's like, so I love it. I love those if you don't get confused. But I will be honest with you, the way that I like to teach workflows is actually like micro workflows. One that leads into the next. Because if something breaks in one, you can go see why that one micro one broke versus trying to figure out why the whole super, like, oh my God, the world just blew up and I got to figure out what one tiny river got jacked up that like, versus like, oh no, there's just this little issue in this little one, right? And so I love micro workflows because you can always use the action that is enroll in next workflow or enroll in another workflow. So if we have an if-then branch, do we continue it on for 3 emails after that? Or depending on the if-then branch, do we just enroll them in another workflow and go build that workflow out over there where it stays simple? And by the way, might I even say where I can actually report on the success or failure, where I can report on the success or failure of said workflow. Because if you have a super workflow and you have one goal and you've got 32 things happening in this, how do you know what's successful? Versus if there's an if-then branch and then it goes off into a mini workflow where that goal is set because they become a customer, or that goal over here is set that they actually fill out this form to download the next phase offer, or whatever it be. Pardon me. I could have muted the mic. Good Lord. Come on, George. Rookie move. I could have just beep. Anyway. So I actually, if super workflows doesn't confuse the crap out of you, thank you, Camilo, for the fires, but this guy is on fire. Well, again, I shouldn't sing on these. I should just stick to education. But if you like the singing, let me know in the comments below, like, ding. Anyway, that's enough of that shenanigans. So micro workflows is A-okay, and not a lot of people are talking about micro workflows, right? All right. Been on here for almost an hour, people. Actually, 3 minutes over an hour. So I'm going to give my final thing. My final thing about getting... is it a good idea to use lead status for tagging a contact that does not apply or create a new property? Camilo, I'm curious of what you mean by does not apply. I love, by the way, lead status with lifecycle stage. Like, those are a great pairing. And I love the fact that I can customize lead status to what I need it to be. But I'm not sure what you mean does not apply. If it's like a not good fit or a non-fit contact, I mean, I've used it for that, but Again, you can always hit me up an email, give me some more details on that, or put it down. By the way, I got 3 mics. I don't know if that's because the singing is good or the singing is terrible. But here's the deal. Camila, you can send me an email. Explain to me, does not apply, what you mean by that in lead status. We'll dig in deeper. I want to talk about this last thing here. And again, I alluded to it. I did. I alluded to it. It's educate yourself on the thing that you just purchased. And there's shamefully in a project that we use with people who, yes, not a good fit. Yes, it should be a thing in lead status. By the way, then if a sales rep or marketer sets them to not a good fit, it should actually be then part of a list rule. So you're getting a list of non-fit folks into a list. You can decide the strategy if once they enter that list every quarter, we're deleting them out, or depending on your business, it's every quarter we're actually like sending them a postcard. If they don't interact with the postcard, we're then deleting them, or we're calling them. And if we can't get them on the phone, then or if you just blatantly know that they're not a good fit, or maybe they're a good fit later, right? There's a whole bunch you could do. Like one of these lives, maybe I'll talk about like negative personas, not a good fit contacts, and my thoughts around that. You know what I should do is I should have like a guest on one of these where we wax poetic on like life cycle stages, lead status, non-fit, good fit, all the things you could think about. That might be pretty dang dope. All right. So let's go with the shenanigans. The last thing, and again, the bad thing is it's the last thing on the list for this like curriculum that we use for onboarding customers onto HubSpot, and that is it's shameful that it's the last thing. I'm just gonna, maybe I'll move it to the top. Like tomorrow when I get to work in the morning, maybe I'll move it to the top. But it's like complete the marketing software certification training. That's right. Go into the HubSpot Academy, watch the certification, take the certification. Listen, if you're gonna go on a trip, you have GPS. If you're going to go on a trip where you know there's no internet access, you're going to buy a map. You're going to map out. Trust me, I had to do it. Like my son and I, we took an 11-day trip. We ended up on some places where there is not internets in the United States. We had maps, and we mapped out on maps. I got micro where we were going to go because we knew GPS wasn't going to work in those places. The marketing certification literally is your map to HubSpot and the things that you can do in the Marketing Hub. Now, is it everything you need? No. Is it the strategy? No. Is it like, well, there's a little, but like it's at least a great starting point that everybody should make sure they're completing that marketing certification software. Now, I have a whole thing that I speak on stage about actual like learning roadmaps, depending on if you're a marketer, sales, service, operations. That's maybe another live, to be honest with you. Like, hey, if you are this person, what should you do? But at least when you get started with the Marketing Hub, take time to get into the academy and make sure that you are getting that certification. They took the time to put it together, right? So use a project, because you can go into HubSpot projects, and on the right-hand side, you can search for marketing general setup project. There's tasks in there, which go to knowledge articles. If we're onboarding you at Impulse Creative, by the way, we have Sprocket Talk videos in there as well to help along the way, keep you entertained and educated. Love doing that. But take time to learn this tool that you now have at your fingertips. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap. Again, if you have gotten value out of this, make sure you hit the like. Make sure if you have not subscribed yet, you hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure that you are paying attention to other videos that we put out. If you have questions or if you want education in the future, just let me know. Hey, I'm your boy, George B. Thomas. Have a great night. And we're out of here. Until next time.